Sup guys, DJ here. Welcome back to the channel. You know, other than me, people don't really seem to talk about preschool shows that often. I mean, there are some good videos on YouTube that analyzes kid shows, but most reviewers just stick to shows for ages 7 and up. I honestly think preschool shows should be talked about more often, 'cause they can have a way bigger effect on our lives than we realize. But that's not what we're gonna talk about this week. Today, we're gonna talk about the most hated kid shows ever. These shows are criticized by parents for being either repetitive, irritating, or just straight up bad influences on kids. And I'm gonna talk about why these shows are hated, and give my own thoughts on them. Without further delay, let's begin. Dora the Explorer is a weird case. Despite being the longest running Nick Jr. show to date, there are a lot of people who despise it. Why is this? Well, one thing people seem to hate is the repetitiveness. And yeah, it is repetitive, but aren't most preschool shows repetitive? A lot of kids' shows have some sort of formula to it. They repeat songs, phrases, heck, sometimes they reuse dialogue. This isn't automatically a bad thing as long as you do something a bit different every once in a while. And yeah, I know I criticized Paw Patrol for being repetitive. But at least other shows occasionally does things that deviates from the main plot. Paw Patrol has literally the exact same plot in every episode. Someone gets in trouble, and the stupid dogs save them. And unlike Paw Patrol, Dora actually teaches the kids something. Like Spanish. But looking back, the Spanish stuff feels kinda pointless. I mean, think about it, if you skip all the Spanish-speaking scenes, nothing really changes. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad it's there, but we don't really need it. And despite what the curriculum board says, this show doesn't teach kids about culture. I don't know why it says that. But it's not true. Also, this show is interactive, so that's another issue. That's the biggest criticism the show has gotten. Where the characters would break the fourth wall and ask the viewers questions they should already know the answer to. And yeah, it does get kind of annoying. But doesn't Blue's Clues do the same thing? Steve always asks the kids questions, and everyone loves Blue's Clues. I don't know, I haven't watched Blue's Clues in a while, but clearly it's doing something right. So overall, I can't really hate Dora the Explorer. It's harmless, nothing in it is that bad. And plus, how can we be mad at a show that brought us this? While I understand why people hate this show, it's such a childhood classic that I can't really criticize it properly. Who knows, maybe I'll make a full Dora analysis video someday. Anyways, let's move on. The reboot sucks, by the way. Honestly, I've never really been a huge fan of Thomas and Friends. I've never seen the live-action version, and I haven't seen much of the 3D version. So yeah, I'm probably not the best person to talk about this reboot, but it does get crapped on a lot, so I had to put it on the list. So why do people hate it so much? Firstly, the animation. What makes the original show unique is the visuals. Other than the creepy faces, the characters and backgrounds look surprisingly real. Even in the CGI version, which had a lower budget, was pretty grounded to reality. But here, the animation is a lot more cartoony. The characters bounce, they stretch, they use their wheels as hands, something they never did in the original. People say it took away the magic of the original Thomas. What else do people hate about this show? Well, that's it. I've read people's reviews on IMDb, and that's the only criticism I can find. People just don't like the animation. Now, I don't really like to judge shows or movies solely on its animation. So I watched a few episodes, and this is one of the most average kid shows I've ever seen. I can't say anything good about it, but I also can't name anything bad about it. Honestly, if this was an original show that wasn't based on the original Thomas and Friends, people would have tolerated it a bit more, 'cause it's not an awful show, it's just average. Now let's move on. Oh god, how can I not talk about this show? I may have defended the last two shows, but I'm sorry, I simply cannot defend this one. It is just as bad as people say. The one word I can use to describe this show is nonsensical. But not in a good way, like say, Pappy Animate, cause with Pappy's videos, yes, they make no sense, but at least there's some character to it. Teletubbies has no plot, no real dialogue other than mindless babbling, no character, and no lessons whatsoever. And that's not even mentioning the character designs. Like seriously, what are these things? They look like rejected Five Nights at Freddy's characters. Even the Dora reboot designs are more pleasant to look at than this. I went into this list trying to find something good about these shows. But, I can't say anything good about Teletubbies. I mean, I guess there's one good thing about it. It's a good way to punish your kids.
Oh. Caillou, how dare you not be on the top 5 worst PBS kids show video? That's it, you're grounded for crap. I'm too lazy to say the numbers. As a punishment, you will watch Teletubbies while playing Five Nights at Freddy's. Go to your room now.
But overall, this show is awful. Let's move on. Oh God, how can I not talk about this show? I actually used to watch this show a lot when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite shows growing up. In fact, I watched it so much, that I actually developed a British accent that annoyed the crap out of my mom. So, to understand why this show is so hated, let's watch a few clips.
Oh dear, George's dinosaur ice lolly has melted and Richard does not like sharing either. What? Zoe's baby twin sisters, Zuzu and Zaza, want to join the sleepover too.
The sleepover is only for big girls. Oh, they're so...
Spiders are very, very small, and they can't hurt you.
Yeah, I think I get it now. I didn't before, but I do now. Though, I don't think the show's messages are as muddled as a certain other show that we'll talk about in a bit. Look, I'm sorry that I'm so defensive of these shows. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of negative comments from this video. But I dunno, I just have an extreme tolerance for bratty characters. Maybe it's because I live with 3 siblings who constantly argues and cries over the dumbest things possible. Yeah, that's definitely why. Overall, I don't really mind Peppa Pig. Sure, there's some episodes that has mixed messages, but if you ignore that, this show is pretty harmless. Holy crap. This list would not be complete without Caillou. This is not only the most hated preschool show, this is also one of the most hated cartoons in general. Like, it's up there with Velma and that Megamind show. When I made my top 5 worst PBS kids show video, I got a whole bunch of comments saying, why didn't you put Caillou on the list? So, dear viewers, you probably want to know what I think of this show. Well, I'll tell you. It's fine. It's fine. I don't love it, I don't hate it, it's fine. I know what you're saying. DJ, how is this show fine? The characters are annoying, and it teaches kids bad messages. Okay, just let me explain before you go raging in the comment section. Let me make this clear. This show is technically bad. And yes, it does have annoying characters and it teaches kids bad messages. But honestly, I can't help but get some ironic enjoyment out of this show. This is one of those shows where despite not being good, it's really fun to make fun of its bad writing. With a show like Spidey, there's nothing to it. There's nothing to like, there's nothing to laugh at, there's nothing to talk about. Except for Black Cat, of course, she will always be the best part of the show. But with Caillou, at least there's something to it. It's not a good something, but it's something. So yeah, hate me all you want, but I get some ironic enjoyment out of Caillou. I don't support the bratty messages, but if you like to hate watch, this is a pretty good option. And that concludes my list of the most hated preschool shows. Let me know what you think of these shows in the comments. And until next time, party on.